All right, greetings. Welcome, Black. Sorry. What's going on, people? How you doing? Thanks for being here. Thanks for tuning in. It's Friday. I'm running on like 3 hours of sleep. I feel okay though. I mean, I'm generally getting more sleep these days, or regular amounts of sleep. My schedule is fairly stable. So when I don't get sleep, it's not like everything doesn't fall apart generally. So that's good. Like I feel pretty good actually, considering I only got 3 hours of sleep. But you know, it's gonna be a wild Friday night. Go to bed at like 8, something like that. But we're live. We're live on Substack, and we're live on Odyssey, and we're live on YouTube. Snooze tube. You snooze, YouTube. Remember the old saying, you snooze, YouTube? We're waiting for people to show up on Odyssey. We're waiting for people to show up, period. I guess. A couple of people are here. I don't know what you all got going on. Just a quick announcement. Oh, by the way, I made some t-shirts, but I don't really have any I don't have a link to purchase them. The t-shirts I made for my new music project. I made some t-shirts. I don't know if I can find a link for the video. I haven't made a link on my website yet, but I'm about to, probably today. So I'll probably drop that on you guys Monday. But But I did a whole bunch of music playing in the last couple of days, which is why I only got 3 hours of sleep. And I'm doing a whole bunch of music playing over the next couple of weeks. By the way, too, also next week I am going to be out of town from Tuesday to Saturday. So I think we're going to do like one show next week on Monday. Just giving you guys a heads up. I don't know if, it might be a random Substack show that shows up maybe in the middle of the week, but most likely not. Doing some Thanksgiving hang with the family, excuse me. So just warning you, next week is going to be a short week for the Black Bear News. What happened? What happens when the Democrats vote to denounce socialism? They voted to denounce socialism while tepidly pushing, kind of socialist platforms. I know. They're just, I don't understand it. Like Kamala calling people communist or Trump communist. Like, I don't understand. What that does is confirm for me that the population of the country has been so thoroughly and effectively brainwashed into hating communism and socialism. And the really frustrating thing is that 80% of the people don't even know what those freaking words mean. And they don't think about it enough to actually go like look up what it actually means or have just a basic understanding of what those things mean. They just hear people talk about it in a particular way and then form an opinion based on the way that people talk about it. And it's just so frustrating. It is just, yeah. So it makes sense, the Democrats are like, we hate socialism too. And everybody's like, oh, thank God. Because, man, we've been hearing for so long that it's so bad. And we're just so dumb because we love Medicare and Social Security, which is socialism. We love the fire department and the police department, which is socialism. We really would like for the regulatory companies or agencies to do their job, which is socialism on some levels. Some oversight, some kind of holding back of the rampant capitalist forces. Some kind of checks and balances on the whole thing. Falls somewhere under the socialist banner. We want people to be paid a fair wage. That's under the socialist. Like, you guys don't even know what it means, and there are people out there that are supposedly really smart people, and some of them I'm sure are, but they just are. I don't know what they're doing. I'm not sure. Oh boy. But yeah. Idiocracy is upon us. Top Dems vote to denounce socialism. We talked about Schumer yesterday, putting forth a resolution to say, like, all the things that the Republicans think are bad, we do too. We're on their side. Like, that's all they're doing right now. All the Democrats are doing is like, we're on their side, except for, once in a while they're like, well, maybe the Epstein files, maybe you should release those. But mostly they're on the side of, they're just nakedly supportive of Trump and the GOP. And I don't hear many Democrats out there denouncing, ICE tackling people in for no reason. ICE detaining people, no due process. I don't hear them. I don't hear a lot of like impassioned speeches on the Hill about that. There's no grand juries. There's no, there's no big, groundswell movement to like, hey, maybe we shouldn't let Trump do these illegal, unconstitutional things. That Supreme Court chimes in once in a while and says that you shouldn't do that, and then they do it anyways. It's weak sauce, is what it is. All right, we got a couple people on Odyssey. I got the chats up on Odyssey. Let's see. So yeah, here they are. So Karen for you. So on your side. Hakeem Jeffries, Apex Shakur, Catherine Clark, Pete Aguilar, Ted Lieu. Ted Lieu, he's from around here. All right. California joining in to denounce socialism. This is why you can have a super majority in California of Democrats and still not really have like, people think that California is so liberal, and it's more liberal. Sure. It's more liberal than some places, but it's not crazy. It's not crazy. Like the video, share the video, push the video out, say hello, get in the chats, do stuff like that. If you're watching, thank you. This is it. And this is how we really feel about, this is the the underlying, stance of the US government in general. Is that socialism or anything that smacks of it is bad. And they've been trying for the longest time to gear us up for taking away any of the social safety nets that we had in the past. Right? Like there was a big groundswell movement, decades and decades ago. And we got a little bit of socialism that the rest of the world had. And the elite people, the wealthy people, the ruling class, the oligarchs, the whatevers, they've been hopping mad ever since and looking for a way to undermine all of those, concessions to socialism, right? It's been pretty effective. This is Marshall Billingsley. Y'all ever heard of Marshall Billingsley? I've never heard of him. War-crazed former Bush and Trump official Marshall Billingsley says that the ultimate target of the U.S. regime change assault on Venezuela is the entire Latin American left. Duh. From Cuba to Brazil to Mexico to Nicaragua. Drugs is just the cover for control, like WMDs. Yeah. Yep. Schulze says people think that about Washington too. Seattle may be, I'm going to say lefty, right? But you leave King County pretty red. Eastern Washington, all Republican, all. Yeah, I know. I mean, it's not, we don't really have red states and blue states. What we have is blue cities and red rural. And I don't know why people don't talk about it like that, because that's really what it is. And it's I would be, it'd be hard. I think you would be hard pressed to find a large city that was not liberal. I'm sure there are, some instances of that, but I would have to say most every large city in the United States is liberal. A larger city is liberal, and then you just go out, a couple of miles, and then they're conservative. Duh. And so it's like that's what it is. In the states where the biggest cities are, or the most cities are, are more liberal, generally. Regarding Trump Epstein, Timothy Martin says, I remember when they said Reagan was unfit for office because he had been divorced. We have moved along. Well, wasn't it? Who was the president that did cocaine? Was it Obama? At some point, I feel like after who didn't inhale? Was it Clinton? I feel like after Clinton said I smoked some, but I didn't inhale. I feel like after that, people just don't. They're like, oh, you did drugs. Nobody cares about you did drugs before, or about your. Your personal life has become a lot less, but there are no scandals apparently that can take anybody out these days, which I think sucks. I mean, Clinton was taking, almost, he was impeached, but he didn't leave the office. So they didn't really, they took him down many notches, but they didn't actually take him out, Clinton. And there's a lot of evidence to point to the fact that that was a Mossad operation. But yeah, they don't care these days. It's like, how many times Trump has been divorced? How many times? I don't know. Can't even count. And he's such a sleaze. He's so sleazy, and yet that's still not a scandal enough. Not scandal enough to pop him out of there. Yeah, I just think you're right, Schultze. Yeah, I think it's silly to talk about states. Like, it's funny because like Joe Rogan left California, left LA to go to Austin. Austin is freaking liberal as hell. Austin is more liberal than LA. If you've ever been out to Austin, it's pretty freaking liberal. It's just in Texas. I don't know if it's more liberal than LA, but it's very, very liberal. Extremely liberal. Like, keep Austin weird. That is Austin has long been a mecca for hippies and weirdos along the lines of San Francisco. So it's funny, like moving from LA. So I got to get out of California. I'm moving to Texas, to Austin. Like, you're moving to the San Francisco of Texas. And every major city in Texas is pretty liberal. All of them. So it's not really any different from California. Texas is no different from California. It's no different from Illinois. It's no different from New York. It's no different from anywhere else in the country. North Carolina. No different from Florida. No different from Louisiana. No different from, it's no different. There are no red states and blue states. There are blue cities. There are red rural. Oh, Clinton did. He not only did cocaine, he bought the cocaine. He's like, what we're going to get us a couple planes. We're just going to fly that stuff straight into Arkansas, so we can get it. We can mainline it. That's a pretty well-known story. The whole Mena, Arkansas thing, that was under Bill Clinton. Well, the funny thing is, when I used to travel a lot, and I would be, say, in Arizona. Arizona is very red. by the way. Again, blue cities, red rural. Everybody in the country is, on the countryside. There's a good conservative contingency, but you go to Phoenix, Flagstaff. Phoenix, Flagstaff, and it's blue, whatever. So I would be in Arizona, and I'd be, as I say, I've had a casual conversation with somebody at a counter at a food, establishment or something, and I'd be like, well, I'm I'm on my way to Texas, and they're like, oh my God, be careful. I'm like, what are you talking about? You guys are just as, stupidly backwards as Texans. Like you're no different. Arizona is, just as weirdly red as Texas is. I always was amazed that people thought that somehow they were more like progressive than Texas. No. And if you're talking about California, shoot, all you have to do is go down to Orange County, and there are like hella Trump people down there, right? It's just not very far. Like, a few miles from here is Trump Central, MAGA Central. It's no different. So Trump is giving Zelensky a Thanksgiving Day deadline. This is from CNN. So I don't know. I mean, it's obvious that there's a faction that really, really, really wants this war to keep going. The God bless Ukraine and let's support Ukraine people. Obviously just want war, because anybody who thinks that way or feels that way either doesn't understand what it's about, or they do understand and they just don't care that the premise of the war is not, completely contrived. So now the new narrative is like Trump is just rolling over for Russia and just giving them everything. And whatevs, yo. I think Russia is pretty much won, and there's not much that we're going to do if we don't want to incite an all-out war. It's like we could obviously get, we're obviously backing Ukraine. That's fair. I feel like that's obvious, but we could, the only way to really go anywhere with this is for us to get even more involved, right, than we are, and we are, but so I don't know. Maybe Trump is just calling it. Maybe he's just like, look, Russia's going to get this. You can either agree to this, or this can just keep going. I don't know what all the behind the scenes things that are going on are. I don't know. It seems he wants to end it. Again, just like the ceasefire in Gaza, is there actually gonna be a peace deal? If there is an agreement, will it hold? Will it stick? Will it stay? Yeah. Well, Zelensky, he's holding things up. He's dug in. He's not popular. He's not even elected now. They canceled elections. So how's that for supporting democracy? I'm not saying that Putin is democratically elected either. You could definitely take his election wins with a grain of salt. Oh, former KGB chief wins presidential election again and again and again for 20 years. Because people really like him, I'm sure. The widely leaked draft of President Donald Trump's 28-point plan is a terrifying leap backward for Kiev. So this is Trump's plan that he's put out, and he's giving them a deadline of Thanksgiving. It was co-conceived by Russians who wanted to pretend they were engaging in peace. Man, this is a very biased article circulated by Ukrainians and Europeans who felt it was so ridiculous it would surely die on first contact with oxygen. They're really CNN is really in the pro-war camp. Much of the text resembles the maximalist positions Russia held during talks in Istanbul in 2022, when its forces held more of Ukraine, and the slow grinding military embarrassment of the past 3 years was still ahead of them. So what they're saying is like Russia's in a bad position, they're down, and Trump is just giving them everything they want while they're losing the war. This is their position. Okay. Who wrote this? Barry Weiss? Oh, she's CBS, not CNN. Its profound dizzying advantages. Before we dissect the text and its profound dizzying advantages for the Kremlin, the timing of this renewed, mostly Moscow-initiated plan is key. Russia's forces are perhaps in their best position in about a year. There are weeks, even days, away from taking the embattled eastern military hub of Pokrovsk, a place of outsized significance and great strategic import, blah, blah, blah. Ukraine continues to see high desertion rates and draft avoidance. I wonder why. Do you think maybe they don't really believe in the war? Do you think they're sick of dying for nothing? For some game that people are playing with their lives? Ukraine continues, I read that, adding to its serious manpower issues, and Kiev's drone advantage has been eroded by swift Russian learning and innovation. Zelensky is also suffering a popularity nadir, facing the repercussions of an ongoing and intimately detailed corruption scandal. It touches both his inner circle and the very things Ukrainians must endure daily: energy outages. The Russian initiative is obviously set to exploit Ukraine's moment of perhaps unprecedented vulnerability. When a domestic political crisis threatens to hobble Zelensky in confronting frontline emergencies. I mean, what it sounds like, if you're just reading between the lines, is like Zelensky's on the ropes. Nobody likes this war. They can't get, they are kidnapping people off the streets to serve in the military. They are losing badly. Like, if you're reading between the lines, they're losing badly, but they're trying to couch it as if somehow they're in a better position than Russia. They're losing badly, and this is kind of like an off-ramp, which, I really wish Trump would GTFO, but an end to the Ukraine thing would be good. The points presented, let's see. That demands that Ukraine constitutionally reject NATO membership, denazify, guarantee its neutrality, and limit the size of its armed forces that were in the Istanbul 2022 document that was tanked by Western powers. Then at the height of the Russian invasion's initial ambition, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, I'm not going to read the entire thing. So that's what they're talking about. But clearly the establishment does not like that Trump is trying to end this, because they're rolling out all the propaganda to say, like, what, Trump is just giving Russia everything they want. Hunter Biden has a lifetime pardon. Send him over to straighten things out. Sure. They're losing 40,000 men a month. It's incredible carnage. That's a lot of people, man. That seems like a lot of bodies. Zelensky didn't hang himself. Let's see. This is Matt Orfala, who's been calling this out for a long time. Here's a little, I'm not going to play the whole thing, but supercut of Ukraine is going to win.
The Russia-Ukraine war is entering a stalemate.
The war has reached a stalemate.
A deadly stalemate. In other words, neither side can win because it's a
stalemate. Stalemate. Those are the headlines tonight. But are they behind? Like yesterday's news, is the real truth the Ukrainians are winning?
We know that Ukraine will win.
This is inevitable that Ukraine is going to defeat Russia.
Ukraine is winning this war.
Ukraine is winning this war.
Ukraine will win this.
Clearly, the military-industrial complex / the CIA really want this to keep on going and continue. So I wonder what's going to happen in the next a week or two around this. I wonder if it's going to be scuttled. I wouldn't be surprised if they were like, deal's off. That's it. We're sending them more Tomahawks. That would not surprise me in the least. How about 10 more billion in aid? That's the one thing I have not seen since Trump has been president, is the weekly headline of $10 billion in aid for Ukraine. How about 20 billion? That was going on the entire Biden presidency, and that was infuriating.
Ukraine is winning this war.
Ukraine will win this war.
Ukraine will win it because I have been there. I have worked there. I know.
He said Ukraine will win.
Winning the war is now not in question.
Ukraine will win, and it will happen very soon.
We can finish everything in weeks.
Victory will be in very short period.
They say Ukraine will win.
Ukrainians will win.
And I haven't met a single person yet who doesn't say Ukraine will win.
Russia is bad. Ukraine is good. What else do you need to know?
It's a stalemate. A stalemate which only brings death and suffering. A true solution can only be found at the negotiating table.
YouTube bans RT.
There's no way the Ukrainian army would be able to win it.
Fox fires Tucker.
This war cannot be won.
Banned.
Ultimately unwinnable.
Defunded.
Ukraine is not winning.
Banned.
But everyone you meet, without exception, still insists that Ukraine will win.
We know that Ukraine will win.
Ukraine will win.
Putin's already lost the war.
I've never been more certain.
There is no possibility of him
All right,
winning.
you guys get the idea, right? Zelensky bought a ranch in Montana. That wouldn't surprise me. By the way, YouTube, that was fair use. That's fair use. Don't, that's just a supercut. Those are clips. I'm not. So here's the headlines that they're pushing out there. Putin was losing badly. Now he can't believe his luck. Where do they find the people to write this stuff? Leaked proposals for peace in Ukraine are an extraordinary victory for the Kremlin and Xi Jinping. What is Donald Trump playing at? It's crazy how much legacy media has lied to us about foreign conflicts. A lot of U.S. troops died in this conflict for nothing. That's true. There are U.S. troops that have been on the ground in Ukraine, and they have, There's mercenaries over there. U.S. troops, aka mercenaries. So we've definitely been, involved in the war in a very real way. Anybody over on Odyssey? Sorry if I'm missing you guys. Very quiet on the chat front on Odyssey. It's all right. I don't know. I still think that this whole thing was a good reason to throw missiles at each other and enrich the military industrial complex. Because really, what happened? Not much. They're just skirmishing along the edges of Ukraine for 4 years. That just it doesn't make any sense. It was a reason to, wipe a million or a couple million people off the map, and throw missiles at each other, destroy each other for fun and for profit. And that's what they did. Now, I guess maybe they're just like, I guess it's run its course, so let's call it a day. We're over it. Oh, whoops. Denver sent me this on Twitter. This is weird. Human genome stored inside near indestructible 5D memory crystal that could survive to the end of the universe. All in this little crystal coin. This is from a year ago. The record-breaking crystal will act as a DNA time capsule that could be used to bring back humanity after our extinction, researchers say. But not everyone is convinced. This sounds like an article on climate change. They're saying that the entire ecosystem could face disruptions that might wipe humanity off the map, but not everyone agrees. Which one is it? Certain death for humanity, or I don't know, maybe not. I don't believe it. You just need one person. No, I don't believe that's true. Mr. Zuckruffer says he's skeptical. Let's hear from Mr. Zuckruffer. I don't believe it. I've been looking at this for years, and I'm just not convinced. Well, thanks, Mr. Zuckruffer. For the first time, scientists have stored a copy of humanity's genetic blueprint inside a near indestructible 5D memory crystal, a new data storage format that could keep the valuable information safe for billions of years, or even potentially to the end of time. Whoa. The researchers believe the DNA time capsule could be used to revive our species long after we have gone extinct. But not everyone agrees. The coin-sized crystal, developed by researchers at the University of Southampton in England, Southampton, is made from a synthetic material that mimics the properties of fused quartz. A glass made of almost pure silica, which is one of the most thermally and chemically stable materials ever discovered. The team first pioneered the crystal in 2014. That's been around, and it's remained the most durable data storage material on the planet ever since. Why doesn't everybody have these crystal data storage things? Most data storage formats in use today degrade over time, but researchers predict the crystals could remain stable at room temperature for 300 quintillion years, which is longer than most theories predict the universe will last. Even at higher temperatures, up to 374 degrees, that's hot, the material could stay intact for up to 13.8 billion years. Give me one of them crystal data external drives stat, which is around the same age as the universe is now. Either way, the crystal could potentially outlive Earth, which will be destroyed by the sun in around 5 billion years. The crystals can survive in temperatures around 1800 Fahrenheit or well below freezing. They can withstand forces up to 10 tons per square centimeter, roughly equivalent to the weight of 2 African elephants, and also long exposure to cosmic radiation, meaning they could survive long journeys through space, even black holes. I added the black hole part. They didn't say that. Kryptonian data storage is difficult to replicate. Sure. What do I think of the Atlas thing? I don't think anything of it. I think it's come and gone. Yep. Anyways. So that's pretty magical stuff right there. To store information within the crystals, the researchers use lasers to transcribe data onto millions of 20 nanometer wide nodes stacked within a 5-dimensional matrix, which contains 2 optical dimensions and 3 spatial coordinates. Golly. Remember, they developed this in 2014. So what's been happening since then? The researchers first accomplished this in 2016. I read that. In this let's see. They transcribed copies of famous texts such as Magna Carta, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which nobody cares about anymore, and the King James Bible onto the crystals. They don't care about the Magna Carta anymore either. The largest crystals can store up to 360 terabytes of data, which is more than 5,000 times more than the typical iPhone. In this case, the team spelled out that the entire human genome using 4 letters that represent the nucleotides or bases of DNA. The entire genome is about 3 billion letters long. The crystal will be placed in the Memory of Mankind collection deep within the abandoned Hallstatt salt mine in Germany, and could provide a blueprint to bring humanity back from extinction thousands, millions, or even billions of years into the future. It is not currently possible to revive a species based solely on a single genome. However, the team believes that in the future, we're going to be real smart. Future advanced civilizations that either evolve from humans or hails from an alien world may possess the necessary knowledge and technology to accomplish this. All right, cool. We're going to live forever. Humans, go forth. Just a couple of drops of water on the crystals and they expand into colorful seahorses. All right. Elon Musk is saying in the long term, the work will be optional. Work will be optional and money will stop being relevant. He's saying this is the future of mankind under AI. To which Gregory says, in the short term, you will go broke and be democided. Good luck. A lot of people were like, yeah, Elon, yeah, stop it. Stop it, sir. You're a trillionaire. You don't care.
If you say like in the long term, where will things end up? Long term, I don't know what long term is. Maybe it's 10, 20 years, something like that. For me, that's long term. My prediction is that work will be optional. Optional. So
We'll take that.
yeah, I mean, it'll be like playing sports or a video game or something like that. If you want to work, in the same way, like you can go to the store and just buy some vegetables, or you could grow vegetables in your backyard. It's much harder to grow vegetables in your backyard, but some people still do it because they like growing vegetables. That will be what work is
They
like.
don't want to be
optional.
poisoned by
I mean,
synthetically grown, fertilized, and DNA, GMO infused crop. Like maybe people want to grow like real food, Elon. They just like to do it. I don't know. Maybe they're trying not to be poisoned, dude.
between now and then, there's actually a lot of work to get to that point. And I always recommend people read Ian Banks' culture books to get a sense for what a probable positive AI future is like. And interestingly, in those books, money is doesn't exist. It's kind of interesting. And my guess is, if you go out long enough, assuming there's a continued improvement in AI and robotics, which this seems likely, the money will stop being relevant at some point in the future.
Okay. And it sounds very, utopian, and sounds like a dream. I mean, it would be great if money stopped being relevant, but the problem is, are you just going to give people things, or what? How's that going to work? I'm not really sure. Explain. I think people are very afraid of the, UBI, crypto UBI, WorldCoin, Sam Altman, WorldCoin, only future. Where you will get, people are afraid that there might be a little too much centralized control in getting a crypto stipend every month. If you don't, as long as you don't like say the wrong thing on social media or think the wrong thoughts in your inside of your brain. I don't know. Oh, you follow the AI, the 3i Atlas? I don't know. I'm not sure, man. Like it does seem like it's a very strange entity. I'm looking at it through the lens of, I don't believe that all news is necessarily true. I mean, sure, I guess maybe it exists. I'm sure other, amateur astronomers are looking at it. So, maybe we can verify that it's actually a thing that's out there. But I mean, I just have to take at face value what people are telling me about it, but I'm also skeptical of the importance of it. That's just me. I don't know. And also conflating that with the idea that they're just trying to push like the aliens, the space aliens narrative on us, Project Bluebeam and all that kind of stuff. So, there's a percentage of possibility in there that this is something that is being generated, but I'm not sure. I'm not saying that's exactly what it is or that I'm positive that's what it is. I'm just saying there's several ways to look at it, to me. But maybe it is an alien life form and they've come to enlighten us and show us the error of our ways. I don't know. I don't know, man. It is an interesting thing for sure. Oh, Desert Mantis is over on Odyssey. AOD. Here's a theory. Is Elon Trump's digital twin? I'm detecting a speech pattern. For some reason, I watched Russell Brand yesterday. I found him so repulsive. I think I may have to watch it again. Have a lovely weekend, everyone. Okay. Wait, why is what about Russell? I'd never watched Russell Brand. I used to a little bit here and there back in the day, but because he would come up on my feed, but he's really become he's definitely gotten pretty weird. Or weirder than he was before. What was it about him that was repulsive? If you could explain, if you feel like it, was it just everything he was saying? Was it just his hair? Was it his whole demeanor? Was it everything about him? This is wild, and I feel like we've covered this before, but here is a doctor saying that people are showing up with spike protein, making spike proteins, which is something that the COVID vaccine was supposed to do, right? If you got the COVID vaccine, like it was it would initiate like production of spike proteins in your like as anti, and whatever it might be, antibodies or against COVID. But like he's saying that people that weren't even vaccinated are producing these things, which he thinks means that there's like a self-amplifying aspect, in which I have heard from many places. Airborne viral shedding caused that. Yes, I've heard from a few different sources that this is a thing that was happening, which really muddies the water, man. It really, really muddies the water, and it also makes me very afraid. I'm not vaccinated, but I can't say that somebody who was vaccinated didn't shed all over me. Eat fresh pineapple. All right. Thanks, Chuck. That is straight knowledge from an alien or alien lover, or one who was deeply intimate with aliens. I don't know if I gone too far, but I love pineapple. Let's listen to this.
We're finding individuals that never received the vaccine that are still producing spike protein. And we're finding the messenger RNA in those individuals as well. Prior to the current administration, they were looking at self-amplifying vaccines for avian influenza. It can spread indeed interspecies, as long as the bacterial plasma and what it's called is replication competent, which is what self-amplifying does. It gives it the ability to replicate in mammalian cells and continue to replicate copies of itself. So the messenger RNA of the spike protein would end up, if I got the shot and I was hanging out with Polly and our producer Lou, then it would shed to them, then they become spike protein factories, and then that spreads to their families, and so on and so on and so on. It's insidious.
So you have no idea who you're standing next to in a queue somewhere or a line somewhere that you could just be shed on.
Exactly. And, I have to wonder what was in the mRNA shots that were given during the COVID era, because we're finding individuals that never received the vaccine that are still producing spike protein. And we're finding the messenger RNA in those individuals as well. So
I think there's a repeat on here, but yeah, that's frightening. Desert Mantis says, I never liked Russell Brand. He always seemed like a goofy scammer. Well, and also he has, at one point, he interviewed Jimmy Savile. And he has been implicated in doing, doing some weird stuff back in the day. So the likelihood that he might be some kind of maybe controlled op is pretty high. Timothy Martin said, I had heart surgery last year. Oh, man. You asked to not get blood. They said, okay. You mean like vaccinated blood or any blood whatsoever? I'm assuming you meant not get vaccinated blood. That's cool. It's great if they said okay to that. That's awesome. Not like, hell no, you're an anti-vaxxer. We're going to give you what you get. Okay, guys. Okay. I think that about covers it. Hope you're doing better, Timothy. After the heart surgery. All right, guys. Thanks so much. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being here. Thanks for saying hello. Thanks for checking in. Enjoy your weekend. Oh, that's cool. That's good. Okay. Enjoy your weekend. All. If you want to support the show, you know how to do it. There's lots of ways to support the show in the description box of whatever channel you're watching on, Odyssey or YouTube or Substack. You can support at Substack. You could do like a paid subscription or something. I should probably put my link tree up there. I will. Okay. All right, guys. Thanks a lot. Peace out and beware the bear.